In April 2003, at the request of the Solomon Islands Prime Minister, Australia assisted in addressing the escalating ongoing violence in that country, in partnership with the Solomons and New Zealand. The Regional Assistant Mission to the Solomons, or RAMSI, was proposed and endorsed. This was a move welcomed by the President of the UN Security Council and the UN Secretary-General. The Participating Police Force, or PPF, formed part of that RAMSI assistance package, tasked with restoring law and order to allow rebuilding and economic recovery to begin in the Solomon Islands.
My history here goes back to 2002 with the International Peace Monitoring Team. At that stage we had an association with the RSIPF, not a close association but an association. At that stage most of the RSIPF had been corrupted. The militants who had been fighting, they gave them jobs as special constables, which destroyed the police force. 2003, when we came back with RAMSI, it was our goal to re-establish the police force, and it was a great challenge, but out of that we drew a lot from it because we found people who right through that tension period, even though they weren't being paid, and sat at their desks and collected evidence.
They actually went through quite a tumultuous period. They had their colleagues had been turning against each other, so I think they were pretty much in a state of shock.
During the tensions, I was one of the area commanders in an operation which they call, we call at the time Operation Crossroads, and I was serving at the east of Guadalcanal.
People were victims of many criminal activities. The police force were unable to give that security as it was mandated under the Constitution.
During that time it's very scary. We obviously do not do much because we are surrounded by the militants wanting us police officers to be with them, but for us some that we still remain loyal to the police force.
The country was in a bit of turmoil, but RAMSI was very welcomed when it first came in. Driving into town, everyone was waving, everyone was cheering. They saw the RAMSI coming in as being a very stabilising force for the country.
I was on the last plane of the first wave, so I didn't see, I came in late that night. The next day, the streets were lined with flag-waving children. There was a lot of cheering, and that lasted months.
My role was with the internal investigations for the Royal Solomon Islands Police Force, and was looking at issues that had occurred within the police force. It varied from large-scale corruption and financial mismanagement, I would say mismanagement, embezzlement, to simple assaults.
The streets were owned by the gangs, the criminal gangs. There was a lot going on, especially on the weather coast, where Harold Keke and the Guadalcanal Liberation Front were. There was a lot of killings down there. With the surrender of Keke in August 2003, there was great relief. And with the entry of RAMSI, it meant that food production increased, the markets reopened, the economy kick-started again.
When you see the RAMSI arrived here, it was just like a relieving for us because we now know that there's a green light that we see ahead of us. It was also good to see that we can started to look at the positive things, whereas during that time we don't know what to do. We have no other plans. We sort of look at trying to hope that one day things will go back to normal, and it happened on that day.
I believe that RAMSI becomes a savior for Solomon Islands, and at that period I think people might say, oh, it's an intervention too late, but I think RAMSI intervened at the right time.
There's been a great deal of work previously from 2003 in relation to the professional standards area that's got them on the right track for them to realise the importance of a well-disciplined police force, because unfortunately when you don't have a disciplined police force, the public see it, you lose public confidence. it's part of that big step to get the public confidence back into the police force.
I will proud to say that the positive thing that the PPF is doing during those past years is that in bringing back the law and order into the country. The influence of PPF is commendable by the communities, that they were really doing a very good job as of day one when the PPF of the RAMSI, they came in Solomon Islands up until today. They were developing many programs in the RSIPF. One is capacity building, leadership role, management role, and other programs in the RSIPF where many of us, we would benefit out of it.
It's a very big difference, because before the PPF arrived here, we seem to disorganize. And when this PPF come over here, they start to organize things. They work side by side with the RSIPF. They provide lots of support, capacity building.
I'm the mentor for Isabel Province, Central Province, but I'm also the team leader and manager of Provincial Policing. Mentoring is important to the local police, so they can develop their own skills and build a capacity that they can support their own communities through programs that we work in partnership with them.
I was walk along with Michael Smith. He's the one who probably worked with me and coordinated with this program, and also the other RAMSI officer from the family violence in Honera. Those are the ones who can work with me, and they are the ones who really support this program.
It's leadership, good strong leadership, which is coming through, that is improving through our capacity development programs. That's what we work on. Also just getting around to the islands and making sure that whatever we do is sustainable and continues as we withdraw.
That is the first and foremost thing, that we must maintain our police station office, because to get things like we have now is a bit hard for us to get it. But since this building is from the RAMSI project, we have to maintain it and look after it as well.
We used to coordinate programs in visiting villages like this one, and we maintain or building our relationship with the communities so that we try to restore that failed relationship in the past. And you can see for yourself that the children here very friendly, even the people outside, and they nothing but they smile to us, which is very good.
They've appreciated it a great deal, the assistance that the RAMSI participating police force has given to them.
The next step for the RSIPF, seeing that the PPF is now scaling down and they are on the advisory role, is that for us frontline managers, that we need to implement those trainings and to get down to the community to build that sort of fair relationship back to normal, so that we can effectively carry out our duties well.
10 years on, they've become a professional policing body again. They have some significant capabilities.
A lot of work has been put into the RSIPF, into human resources, into recruiting the right people, into ensuring that proper budgets are provided for the RSIPF, and the assistance in terms of building up a new police force.
About 65% of the force now has joined the RSIPF since the intervention. The culture and the ethos of the organisation has changed significantly. They've got 4 more years whereby RAMSI is here with a significant investment. After that 4 years, nothing's guaranteed. Key challenges for them will be their leadership. Their leadership has really got to take the next step in terms of not only managing and leading their staff effectively, but fully embracing accountability and the consequences of accountability.
If they can take on the leadership in all areas that they're working in, because I know there are a lot of RSIPF officers who are capable of taking on these jobs, but it's just a matter for all of us to take on that leadership.
It is for the government to decide. As always being said by RAMSI, it is not RAMSI that determines whether the RSIPF is going to be armed and what type of arm are they going to get. RAMSI stands ready to support, but I think the decision is to come from the government.
Over 2 years, we've gone from no police having a baton, a set of handcuffs, or any other capability to protect themselves. 2 years later, we've got 900 RSIPF officers trained in handcuffs, batons and capsicum spray, and a police response team which is now at 40 that has just graduated and is able to use less lethal munitions, the same as the SRG, and is on the verge of becoming limited rearmed if SIG agrees. That program I'm particularly proud of because I know I'm leaving here and that the RSIPF with the PPF will be able to contain almost any security situation here with the CTF going, and that was probably, looking back on it, the critical objective that I had to achieve whilst I was here, and it's been achieved.
RAMSI might wind down, but I think it's time now for the RSIPF have now come to a point that they can carry through. They can move forward with what the trainings, the equipments that are now in place.
It's been an objective of ours for a while to try and market this new capability and the professionalism of the PRT. And I think the 10th anniversary and all of the foreign VIPs, the leaders and the dignitaries and the international media and local media was the ideal time. It sent a clear message to the public and to the Solomon Islands government. They now have a capability here that can assist in guaranteeing their own security. And I think that was really important, that people out there realise that the days of civil disobedience, the days of running amok in the streets are now over because we have a capability that will be able to stop that. I think it was very important for the government and the people of the Solomon Islands to actually recognise what's been achieved here in this country, and I think obviously thank all of the RAMSI partners for what they've done. Culturally, I think it's very important for them to do that. It was a shared sense of achievement. It was it's always been framed as a partnership, and I think the celebrations reflected that in that it was Solomon Islanders and all of the other country representatives together rejoicing and acknowledging what had been achieved, and I think that symbolically was extremely important.
Let me say thank you to the governments and people of Australia and New Zealand. Let me also say thank you to the governments and the people of the Pacific Forum Island countries. You could have chosen to put your reserves in other priorities, but you chose us. And let me thank the members of the military, the police officers, officials, support staff, and all the men and women who have come to our shores under RAMSI in the last 10 years. Let me also thank your parents, your children, and your families for allowing you to come to our rescue in those trying times. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to pay a very special tribute to those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice of their lives through RAMSI to restore our country. I still remember vividly there was a time in our lives when there was no hope. And 10 short years ago, many people lived in fear, destitution, and desperation. And as a Solomon Island and as a leader of the country, I also have a sense of jubilation and celebration. I celebrate the future in hope. When once there was no hope, now our future is bright.